So number one, we are more than conquerors in Christ. So when we look at our gospel story for today, we have one of the disciples said to Jesus, I saw someone who we don't know casting out demons in your name. So what should we do? Should we stop that? And it's interesting because Jesus says, no, anyone who is for us is not against us. So we may ask the same question at times. Who is for us? Do we always know? Is it always clear who is for us? Some of us have frenemies. Do you know what a frenemy is? Someone that is your friend, but sometimes they're not really your friend. Maybe that person who gossip about you or competing against you. You never know. But sometimes it's hard to tell who your true friends are. And during this time of election year, it gets kind of complicated, right? It's easy to get caught up in going, I didn't know you were my enemy or my frenemy, or that we disagreed, and yet we're still called to love one another, right? And then in the context of the gospel story, Jesus not only says anyone who is for us is not against us, but then he gives an example. What's the example that he gives here about those who are against us? He says, anyone who does evil against children, and especially children who believe in him, in Jesus, are those we need to be against. Now that has become a line for me, personally. That's the line I think that even people in jail draw. Like if you are hurting children, you've got a lot of enemies. For good reason, right? Jesus Christ is the person who elevated children beyond the status that had been there for centuries, right? So here he is saying, if you hurt one of these little ones, it would be better for you to have a millstone hung around your neck. And everyone knows what a millstone is? You do? I didn't know what it was. It's like this big, large stone, right, for what, making grain and stuff? So it would be a millstone, so it would be really heavy, and imagine it being hung around your neck. That'd be great suffering. So anyone who hurts children, it would be better for them to have a millstone hung around their neck. And, you know, when it comes to evil, to me, that's what I think it is. Anyone who does harm to children, who does evil to children. Because there is the different understanding of what evil is. There is evil that men and women do to one another as adults. It happens. Part of life is suffering, and it is caused by the suffering is imposed from other people, right? We know this happens in the world. We know there is great evil and suffering. And then there is the belief that there is primary evil. These forces that are out for destruction, just utter destruction, and they don't care about children. The most vulnerable human beings out there, they don't care about. And to me, that's where Jesus is saying they are our enemies. What do you think? I want to know who's with me and who's against me on this. Because that really is it for me. We can debate all kinds of other things, but when it comes to that, I'm like, no, I'm not cool with that. I'll fight against that. And we know the Bible points out ways in which we can fight, right? We've been looking at some of those things. Paul is talking about fight the good fight as a Christian. And so we are looking at some of that today because we do believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and he is also the greatest humanitarian who ever lived. And like I already mentioned, he elevated children beyond their status. He taught us to love and bless them, right? That he changed the world in how he viewed children.